Hello, my dear friends! Today we are going to make Swiss meringue buttercream, which we will use to make these flowers. I'm Nadezhda. This is Malinovka channel. Let's go! We'll need 150 grams of egg whites, 150 grams of sugar, 290 grams of butter. Take the butter out of the fridge, cut it in cubes and leave at room temperature for about 10 or 15 minutes. It shouldn't be soft, it should be quite solid. The working temperature of butter is 14 or 15 degrees Celsius. First, we combine egg whites and sugar. Simply add sugar to egg whites, stir them and put them on the steamer. The water in the saucepan shouldn't touch the bowl, well, maybe just a little. We constantly stir the mixture. We need to heat it up to 65 degrees Celsius. If you don't have a thermometer, simply wait until all the sugar dissolves. You can touch the mixture with your fingers. If you can't feel any sugar particles, it means the mixture has already reached the right temperature and all the sugar has melted. I keep stirring to make sure it doesn't clot. Our mixture has warmed up and the sugar has melted completely. We take this warm mixture of egg whites and sugar and put it into the mixer bowl. We pour the mixture into the mixer bowl. You can whip it with a hand mixer as well. If you only have a hand mixer, don't worry, it will work just as well. We start with low speed and then increase the speed up to above average. I have 7 speed levels on my mixer, so I turn the switch to 4.5. You can use higher speed as well. I simply want to show you that you can whip this mixture using a hand mixer or a less powerful mixer as well. The temperature of my butter is already 14 degrees Celsius. It's about 13 or 14 degrees. I won't put it into the microwave because the meringue isn't ready yet. I'm still whipping it. I'm about halfway through. The meringue cools off little by little in the process of whipping. When you mix it with butter, the working temperature of meringue should be 26–27 degrees Celsius. If you are using a large stand mixer, the mixture will probably reach the right temperature right by the end of the whipping. If you are using a hand mixer, take the meringue's temperature after you whip it into stable foam. It shouldn't be hotter than 26 or 27 degrees Celsius. Lower temperature of meringue is not as critical as its higher temperature. Look what puffy meringue we have here. Let's take the temperature. It's nearly 30 degrees Celsius. What can we do to cool it fast? We can simply let it cool for a while. In this case, it's okay to let the meringue sit for a while. You can even put it into the fridge for about 5 minutes to cool. 3 or 5 minutes will be enough for it to cool. Don't keep it in the fridge for too long though. If you leave it there for 10 minutes, it will be too cold. In this case, it may not combine well with butter. You can also manipulate the temperature. If your meringue is, say, 28, 29 or 30 degrees Celsius, then the butter should be 12 or 13 degrees Celsius instead of 15 or 16 degrees. You need to make one ingredient a bit warmer and another one a bit colder, so that they combine without clotting. The temperatures I give you will let us get work-ready buttercream at once. We won't have to put it into the fridge to cool. We will be able to start working with it at once. I will put my meringue into the fridge for 2 minutes. This will be enough to make it 2 degrees cooler. The temperature is now 25.7 degrees Celsius. It's perfect. The butter is already about 15-16 degrees Celsius. We can add all butter to our meringue at once. Let's scrape the meringue off the walls and put it in the center. We increase the speed little by little. I use the first or the second speed, because my mixer starts twitching and shaking. I'm afraid it may break down. At first, you will see the butter forming flakes. At this point, we need to stop the mixer, scrape the meringue off the walls and put it in the center. Otherwise, it won't combine with the rest of buttercream. If necessary, scrape the meringue off the whisk as well and put it into the bowl. We put the whisk back and go on whipping. Now I switched on the 4th speed. My mixer has 7 speed levels and I chose number 4. My mixer can whip 2 portions of this buttercream at a time. If you're using a hand mixer, you'd better make 1 portion at a time. The meringue has combined with butter completely, but the buttercream isn't homogeneous yet. The buttercream has shrunk and thickened. Let's see if it's ready. We take some buttercream and see that it isn't homogeneous yet. Moreover, there's some moisture on the surface. It means that our buttercream isn't ready yet, and we still need to whip it for a while. Look, we've been whipping it for less than a minute, but it has already become whiter and more homogeneous. Let's check it again. It became homogeneous. There's no moisture left on the surface. I will whip it just a little bit more, because there's some moisture left on the walls of the bowl. We'd better scrape everything off the walls, mix it with the main body of buttercream, and whip for 15 more seconds to make it even more homogeneous. We shouldn't over-whip the buttercream either, because it will be too puffy. Puffy buttercream means soft buttercream, and soft buttercream won't hold the shape well. That's it. Our buttercream is ready. It is homogeneous and has a good texture. It has a creamy tint, but not too strong. If you make a flower with it, it will look white enough. Of course, if you need to make snow white flowers for a snow white wedding cake, you'll have to whiten the buttercream with titanium dioxide or any water dispensable or fat dispensable white food color. You can do it right here in the bowl with a large whisk. The buttercream is rather puffy. When we start working with it, we will stir it well first to reduce this puffiness a little. If your buttercream is too soft and it doesn't hold on the spatula, my buttercream tries to slip off the spatula, but in general, it holds on well enough. It's more or less thick. If your buttercream is too soft, put it into the fridge and let it cool for about 5 or 10 minutes. Whip it again for a few seconds until it becomes homogeneous again, because it will cool on the surface and remain soft inside. Then you'll get good, thick buttercream. It depends on the temperature of the room as well. If it's hot in the room, you have to let the buttercream cool before you start working with it. If it's rather cold in the room, if it's winter and you work with windows open, I'm sure your buttercream will be work ready at once. We put the buttercream into the bowl. We can cover it with a kitchen film and keep it in the fridge while we are taking out food colors and preparing everything for flower piping. We'd better let it cool while we are getting everything ready. One portion of cream is 530 grams. Let's make some flowers with this buttercream. I made a very beautiful mauve tint using lilac food color from Cake Colors and a Meringue electric pink. We can prepare the piping bag in several different ways. We can make all our buttercream bright. We can make all our buttercream pale if we add some uncolored buttercream here and blend them. We'll get gentle mauve color. Or we can make a beautiful transition of colors. We take this rather bright buttercream, put it into the piping bag and spread it on the walls. I leave some buttercream in the bowl. I don't put all of it into the bag at once. I spread it in the bag and put it aside. Now I put some uncolored buttercream into the bowl with the rest of my colored buttercream. I stir it to get a gentle color. We are getting a pinkish mauve color.
Он у нас такой сиренево-розовый получился в нежном состоянии. Все, размешала.
We didn't make any color splotches here. We simply made a uniform color. We put this buttercream into the bag. We distribute it with our fingers so that our light color mixed with the dark color, and move the buttercream closer to the piping tip with a scraper. Piping tip number 124K. Let's make a flower. At first we are getting dark cream, but then we start getting light cream with a dark edge. Let's make a rose with a deep center. It has light petals with dark edges. The petals even have darker edges inside than outside. It's very beautiful when we have several different tints. Another good thing about such coloring is that buttercream with less food color is thicker. We are making a flower with thicker buttercream.
Красителя более плотный. То есть здесь мы уже, как бы получается, цветочек делаем из более плотного крема.
I don't have much buttercream left. I take more buttercream and put it into the same bowl that we used for making pink color. I stir the buttercream, combining it with leftovers of pink color to give it a pinkish shade.
Размешиваю для того, чтобы крем у меня стал таким слегка розоватым, чтобы сильно он по оттенку хотя бы не отличался от розового.
Let's collect it and put it into the piping bag.
Складываем мешок. Мешок я не чищу.
I don't clean the piping bag. We still have some pink buttercream left on the walls.
Собираем сюда. Закрываем.
Close the bag and move the buttercream down.
Немножко мнем.
I rumple the bag a little to mix the colors and clean the piping bag with a scraper. We can go on working. At first, we'll be getting our previous color.
Тот цвет, который мы изначально укладывали.
We made such a beautiful rose with darker and lighter tints. Let's make another rose. You see, the buttercream is already getting lighter. We'll make another rose with a deep center.
Делаем следующую розочку. Видите, у нас уже крем выходит светлее. Делаем также розочку с глубокой серединкой. Начинаем.
I start making short petals on top. We make a ranunculus almost the same way. The only difference is that a ranunculus has a green center. The buttercream is getting lighter, but there are still some darker tints left. The petals are more solid now, because I kept the piping bag in the fridge for a while. Moreover, light cream is thicker than dark cream per se, because it contains less food color. We made another rose of a more uniform color. Let's make a third rose. The color remains the same. It isn't getting lighter yet. Okay, now we are getting lighter color.
Более светлый, который мы укладывали уже отдельно.
It looks beautiful. A dark center and light outer petals. It looks more natural than vice versa, a light center and dark edges. There are different kinds of roses, of course. Some kinds do have lighter centers and darker edges. But in general, if you make outer petals lighter, it seems that the rose has opened and outer petals have simply faded in the sun.
на солнце.
We are making a fourth rose of our pink buttercream.
Розовый.
All our roses are a bit different.
Они мне все немножко разные получились.
I'll put some uncolored buttercream right into the bag so that I could pipe this pink buttercream. I don't color it because I won't make flowers with it. I need it so that I could press the bag.
Давить на мешок.
Let's get rid of the air. We go on making our rose.
Розочку. У нас
We
получилась
made a
такая
creamy rose with pink
розовой
edging.
окантовкой.
Let's see what we'll get in the end. We put some uncolored buttercream right into the bag. Let's see what will come out of it.
Крем, в мешок, просто крем. В каком виде он будет у нас выходить. Вот у нас темная
You see,
полоса.
we're still getting a dark stripe on the petals.
И вот уже
Now it feels like we are running out of pink cream. I have already used the uncolored buttercream I put into the bag before. I'll put some more. It's a very lucky thing that our buttercream keeps tincturing pink.
удачно все в розовый. Розовым подкрашивается, подкрашивается. Положу еще. Хорошо.
Pink color combines really well with uncolored cream. I wasn't going to make any more flowers with it, but it just gets me going. We're getting a polypetalous rose.
Мелколепестковая розочка у нас широкая. Так, ну,
Let's see what we'll get now. The buttercream is getting even lighter. There's almost no pink buttercream left, but there's still a slightly pinkish shade.
Но все равно вот этот вот легкий оттенок розовинки, он присутствует. Ну вот, посмотрите, как
Look what beautiful flowers we have made.
мы с вами
We started with putting a dark tint into the bag.
мешок.
Then we added lighter tints to it, and finally we added uncolored buttercream.
Фактически неокрашенный крем
We
добавляете.
ended up with such an amazing gradient on our roses. You can do the same with other colors. I took mustard color for this rose.
Цвет.
This tint is even more beautiful in its lighter version.
В светлом варианте он стал еще милее, красивее.
And it's no less interesting in its yet lighter version. These two colors look very beautiful together. We need to make a cake with them, don't you think? Well, I'm really inspired by this cream. Inspired. Such a difficult word to pronounce. Seems like I'm drunk. This frosting is sure to make the list of my favorite frostings for flower piping. Make sure you check this buttercream out. Maybe you lacked that very buttercream to make your first piped flowers. And if you are a skilled master, it will help you to extend your potential. We already have 5 tutorials on flower piping, devoted to different frostings. You can make flowers from any tutorial using this new buttercream. You can find the details about our courses on the site. The link is in the description. Well, our dear students, practice, enjoy the process, share your impressions in the comments, and we'll see you in our future videos.